Hello, everybody. Welcome back to TJK Shares. This is the channel where we bring you transformational people who are doing extraordinary things in this world. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. But once in a while, you also get me, TJK, to share some of the topics that in our society maybe we ignore, but also things that we can do together to learn from each other and learn from each other and also read on. Today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, we want to talk about reading books. That's why this is filmed right next to one of the many bookshelves I have in my house. I am an author of 7 books. I have written these books not because I was born wanting to write books, but because I wanted our children in Nyakajezi, Kanungu to know and understand that writing books is something each one of us can do. If you don't tell your story, somebody else is going to tell their own story and they will say it the way they want. So the best way to tell your own story is to write it down. Many people ask me, how did you even begin writing books? I will be telling you that I actually journal. Anybody who has met with me will tell you, oh, Jackson is always taking notes. When I was a child growing up in Nyakajezi, I had those small books, Kasuku books, Ugandans would know this, where I wrote things that made me happy, things that made me angry, things that I didn't like. When my mom or my dad, my mom never spanked us, but when my dad spanked us, I ran and wrote it down. When I was happy, went to church and had an amazing church service, I went down and write it. To this day, in meetings, I write notes. I write notes handwritten, not on the computer. I also journal mostly daily, now more electronic journaling than how I used to do. But when I was writing my first book, A School for My Village, which was written as The Price of Stones, I went back to those journals and I remembered what my mom was wearing at the time when I described her. But let's talk about the importance of reading. We are going to talk about books. And soon, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be hosting some of the people I have hosted before, but the ones who are authors and are published authors. The likes of Jackie Asimwe, who released a book recently on mountains, climbing mountains, the Jennifer Makubuyas, who have written several books, the Muvimbi from Zimbabwe, who has written a book, the Keren Ansala, who is writing a book. Tore, your book needs to come out quickly. We will be bringing you Dominique Mosolo and the book he wrote with Emil Jones on the long walk, the girl's long walk to freedom. We'll bring you so many authors once again so we can learn. But first of all, let's get 5 main points why you should pick up a book and read right now. In today's fast-paced culture, where information is constantly changing and attention spans are shrinking, the act of reading provides variable counterbalance. It offers space for reflection, for connection. It offers personal space for you to be able to sit down and reflect and learn and travel all over the world in different places while learning, but also sitting in one place. Many people feel overwhelmed and relentless. When you read, this calms your mind completely down. By making time for reading in your busy lives, you can cultivate a sense of mindfulness. You can be the person you want to be curious, and enrich your intellectual capacity to benefit you in so many different ways. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll just share five main points why you need to start reading. If you're already reading, you need to continue reading. If you have children, you're a parent like me, why you need to read to your children. Reading gives you lifelong learning. I am a learner, born and raised by parents who couldn't read and write. My mom and dad had a Bible in the house, which belonged to my mom. She couldn't read it. She didn't know how to read. But any chance she got, she would pull one of us to go read for her. Until mom died, for you who graduated from Nyaka and those who visited her, you remember she had a pile of books on the side of her bed. The books she could not read. Every time I released the book, my mom, I signed one for my mother and gave it to her. She would turn pages and look at the pictures. But when I started writing children's books, that was her heaven. She would turn those pages. I was so happy to see her books all turned down, brown with dust that comes inside the house. She was the biggest cheerleader for me and the reader of my books. The life learning, reading is a lifelong habit that can continue to enrich and expand your mind, my mind, long after formal education has ended. It allows us to explore new ideas, learn about different topics, and stay curious and engaged with the world around us. One person wrote and said, reading books takes you to travel the world while you are in one place. So you want to travel with me? Start reading about these places. When I say I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, like I was yesterday, pick up a book about Boston and read it. You will be right there with me. But reading also, number two, creates understanding and empathy. When you read, you expose yourself to diverse characters, experiences, cultures. You get helped in developing empathy and understanding others. In a society that is becoming increasingly polarized, the ability to see the world from different viewpoints and walk in somebody else's shoes is very crucial. When you read a book written by Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, one of my favorite books, you get to step in the shoes of Nelson Mandela and understand where he was coming from as a young man, where he went and how he survived in prison for all those 27 years and then became a president of South Africa. If you haven't been to South Africa, now the book takes you to South Africa to see and learn from what happened there just by reading a book. Number three, I promised you 5 points, and then we can dig into some of the books I have read and the ones I will share with you quickly. It helps you with critical thinking. Reading encourages you to think and analyze. As a reader, you engage in complex ideas, perspectives, arguments that are presented in the books you are reading. In a world where information is constantly bombarding us with so many different channels, whether it is TikTok or X or Instagram or Facebook, the ability to think critically and discern fact from opinion is increasingly important, especially now. In 2024, my friend, you need to critically think and make your own decisions rather than listening to what others are putting out there as their own opinion. You pick up a book by Trevor Noah. This is an amazing book Trevor Noah wrote. You don't know Trevor Noah is from South Africa, biracial, born between a white and black parent, just like our former President Barack Obama. And he writes this book, Born a Crime. You start reading and thinking about racial issues, things that you might not have experienced, but somebody else has experienced, and you get to understand deeper, but also critically think and encourage you to analyze and see. Now, those are 2 books from South Africa that we have talked about in the 2 points. That was the 3rd point. The 4th point is stress relief. If you are like me, or if you're a human being, you are hit by stress left and right. To relieve that stress, reading can be your form of escape, a way to unwind and relax in the mindset of busy and hectic day. It can provide you much needed break from the constant stimulation of screens and technology, allowing you for moments of peace and tranquility. You want to relax? For me, I'll pick up a book, go under the tree, lay in my bed, anywhere on the plane. I am reading because it brings and relieves stress. It brings tranquility and peace and relieves stress. And these are researched points that I went and compiled 5 of the many. Then number 5, which we will end with, is the mental stimulation. The mental capacity. Many people, you have conversation with them and all they can tell you is what is on Twitter, what's on TikTok, and on Instagram. Your reading will provide you mental workout. That's your gymnasium right there. Mental workout that can help you counterbalance the constant distractions and fast-paced nature of modern life. It requires focus, concentration, and active engagement, helping you to sharpen your cognitive skills and improve mental agility. Those are 5 points why you need to read. And ladies and gentlemen, if you think it is not important, today we are in a fast-paced culture. Technology and screens dominate much of our time. Our children's attention is not there because they are looking at screens. The importance of reading cannot be understated. You will enjoy that. You will pick up a lesson, and if you are first time to start reading books, I encourage you to just read one page a day, and call it a day. I am a reader not because my father or my mother read to me. I'm a reader because I learned, and I'm wearing my big Columbia shirt right here. Columbia University, when I went there in 1994, I was coming out of Makerere where the library was like, ooh, scary. But once I got to Columbia University and started buying my own books, I learned I am exporting myself from one city to cities all over the world. So I will give you a quick sampling of some of the books, adult books. I've already showed you Trevor Noah's book and Nelson Mandela. Those are most of these are signed to me, which we call autograph. A book that has really touched so many lives here in the United States, Tenish Cortez, The Water Dancer. This is the novel. When I read, mostly I read non-fiction books, but I have also learned to enjoy fiction books. There's always a story behind it. This is mostly American setting, but I encourage you to pick up one of those. I will tell you, one of my the former Secretary General of United Nations, Kofi Annan, bless his heart, rest in peace, an autobiography. This is the story of his life that you can pick up and read. Very, very, very good story. Good friend of mine, Rehema Kasule, girl from Gomba, who went and visited the White House, wrote a book. This is her meeting President Obama. My Ugandan audience, there you go. Ugandan author right there. I told you about Facing Mountains, Jacqueline Asimwe. This is a new book. I just finished reading it while I was in Uganda, and we're bringing you Jacqueline to discuss this book soon. I will tell you, you want to be really funny. This is a friend of mine, Barbara Njiti, Poetry Without Pants. Poetry Without Pants. Look, I read all sorts of books, ladies and gentlemen. People always say, as many books as you have on your shelves, have you read all of them? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I've read all of them, and I keep copies of them. I have a library in every house I live in. My children are surrounded by books. I started reading to my children before they were born, reading to the stomach. So by the time they are born, there is already a bondage with the kids. There is already, they know your voice, but they also begin to learn their stories, and the stories you are reading them before they are born. Now, I told you importance of reading for adults. If you want to go deeper, you can also go into importance of reading for children. They develop language faster when you read them. Their cognitive development goes even more. Emotional development, bonding and connection. A friend of mine recently asked me when I had kids in Uganda why many of us who live in the United States bond so well with our children. We spend time with them. We read to them at night, which is what many fathers in our countries like Uganda don't do. And it gives me academic success also when you read to your children. I have a book here that I would like to show you. Manchester Happened. Jennifer Nsubuga Makumbi, a friend of mine who has written several books on Uganda and is amazing, amazing writer. Her books are all over, beginning with Chintu and many others. But you've also had big books. Look at that. That's Bill Clinton, former president. I am excited to go back to Clinton Global Initiative. He wrote this book, My Life, and takes you in his biographical growing up and becoming a president from Arkansas. Then recently, Michelle Obama wrote her own book. I read women books, I read men books, I read before I read actually Michelle Obama book. Look at that. Barack Obama had written A Promised Land, but he had also written a book before called The Audacity of Hope. These are books that I read and kept, and I have them signed up. And here's another one by A Girl is a Body of Water by Jennifer Nsubuga Makumbi. All these are books that I continue to read. Some of them I go back and read again because I want to stay curious. I want also to make sure that my children see an example of their father reading not only the books I've written, but also books others have written. Examples of children books, you know, the famous one, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstone. That's one kids love. You read to them, you turn the pictures. So if you know authors who can be hosted here, I will bring them to you. I will interview them and we'll talk about books. I am Jane Godoff. That is a woman who introduced us to primates. I'm going to meet her at Clinton Global Initiative in New York soon. And then you know Dr. Seuss, If I Run the Zoo. These are books that are really, really crucial that we need to read to our children to get their curiosity going. This one is the funny one. My children loved this. The Three Witches. Kids read and learn Harry Potter and witchcraft, but while they are reading those things, they are also curious and getting to learn things they didn't know. Whenever I travel, I also buy books. This is a friend of mine, Natalie Rastak, who wrote this book with her daughter. Amazing book that teaches you the secret adventures of Anonymous Mouse. Not anonymous, but anonymous. I will end up with two of my children books, ladies and gentlemen. Sitwe Goes to School, set in Nyakajezi, by a child here who is trying to get to school, but could not get to school because he was orphaned. And the boy goes through this adventure of moving around, doing chores. This book was written so our Ugandan children in Nyakajezi can see themselves. Look at the houses in a book that look like the houses they live in. See the plants that reflect and are a replica of what they see every day, so they can develop an interest in writing, illustrating. See the uniform they wear at Nyaka Primary School in pictures, and the rivers they cross and water, and how they go to school. This was set to help them to taking these stories. And I always tell American children that when a child is accepted in school, in rural settings, they celebrate, they jump up and down. When they are told they cannot go to school, they are very sad. And so this book takes you from not having an opportunity to go to school to getting an opportunity to go to school and the benefits that come with it. This is Uganda. Any one of you, my Ugandan brothers and sisters, can write your own book. We can help you find a publisher, find an illustrator. Because I wrote one about a boy who is doing this, I also decided I will write one about a girl. Marisa, Patience Marisa goes for water. We all know many of these children, how they walk before they get to school and have to go fetch water in long distances. These kids, oh, this is Patience Marisa goes to Kampala. This is where a girl has passed and done a competition in a classroom to be able to go to Kampala for the first time in her life. It shows you the empathy of one student who passed and was selected to go, but she knew the difficulties her friend was going through, and so she chose to go with her friend and visit Kampala, the capital city. She saw skyscrapers for the first time. We transport you from village setting to city setting. But for all of you who are grown-ups, who are listening to me, please pick up a book. Please read something. The parents, read to your children. It's important. It will benefit you and benefit our future generations. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming. Please share the episode with others and watch out. Gladys Ziksoka will be inviting you to discuss your book, Walking with the Gorillas. Jackie will be inviting you to discuss Facing the Mountains. Jennifer, your book, you can choose whichever one you want to discuss on this forum. And for those of you aspiring writers and authors, please do reach out to our Nyaka team or reach out to TJK team in Uganda. We will share a phone number and email, and we will host you, and we can learn together and continue to make this world a better place for all of us. I know the best is yet to come. Thank you for watching. Share, subscribe, and make sure we can all read one page a day. And we will come back and evaluate what we've read, what we've learned, and we'll continue to learn together as one people, one community, and one nation, and one world. Thank you. I didn't show you one book that I meant actually to show you, which is the one written by Kamala Harris. Here we go. If you haven't seen this book, this is our one of the contestants to become a president of the United States, Kamala Harris. Her book is here. You can find it. You can read it. And when or if she becomes a president, you will know you read her book. Trump has written books too. I know many of my Ugandan friends who want to find those books have found them in business, but it's in different shelves, in different part of the house. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye.